Welcome, everybody. I am calling to order this Board of Education meeting. It is Monday, March 2nd. It is 6:07 PM. We are in the Nashua North Boardroom. Ms. Raymond, can you do the roll call? And then the statement, that says prayer. And then, Ms. Gilio, can you do the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
Okay, I'll do roll call first. Ms. Gilio is here.
Here.
Ms. Prin.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Ms. Raymond is here. Ms. Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Salvi is not here yet.
No, he won't be here tonight.
Oh, okay. Ms. Lampier.
Here.
Ms. Lopez.
Here.
Ms. Bishop.
Here.
We also have Ms. Proturu. Am I saying that right?
Here.
Okay. Dr. Andrade. Mr. Pasca. Is Dr. Scarpati here? And Mr. Gray. Oh, and the opening statement. As elected officials, we have the high honor and the serious duty of managing the educational institutions of our beloved city. In our common endeavors, may we find a spirit of unity and understanding which will enable us to face our multiple problems with an objective mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will be for the betterment and greater happiness of all of our fellow citizens.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, been chatting over here a little bit, just want to get consensus from you guys. I want to respect that we have little kids in the audience, and if I get bored during these meetings, I'm going to guess they are. So if we don't have any objections, they're actually here for a second public comment, but if we're okay with that, if they could come up now and share their piece so they can stay as long as they want and then can go when the kids seem a little frazzled. Are we okay with that? Okay. So are you guys, Chelsea Marvin?
Yeah,
Okay, come on down. You guys have 3 minutes. State your name and your address, please.
definitely won't take that long. Is this on?
Yep, it should be. Oh, there you go.
Now
Okay.
it is.
Yep. Chesley Marvin, Marion Lane, and it won't take 3 minutes. I've emailed y'all countless times, so, boo, yeah. Yeah, I just came to talk about the potential closure, school closures, and specifically New Cyril, since that's the school that we're zoned to. My kids are 3.5 and 2, so they're not currently in the public school system yet, but we're in the neighborhood, right, talking to folks, and everyone has amazing things to say about New Cyril's. And when we bought our house here in Nashua, we didn't originally consider the elementary schools, but it was kind of funny how folks were always like, oh, you have to buy in Bicentennial, and we're like, whatever, we love our kids, they're gonna be fine no matter what. And then we move into New Cyril's, and it's just like the best little hidden gem community that everybody raves about. So we've been really excited to go there. And obviously if it closes, that's not going to be in the cards for us, and that would be a real shame. Just kind of another note about them. We actually lived in Nashua in this house in the New Cyril School District prior to the pandemic. And then when the pandemic hit, we were all working from home. We have tech jobs, and we aren't from the area, so we decided to move back down to Texas to be near our friends and family, hopefully get through the pandemic a little bit easier and have some help with childcare when we were thinking about having a family. So we moved down there, had our 2 babies, and then got the return to work orders, and I had a local job. I work at Fidelity, I guess. I don't know if that's relevant, but anyway. And so I had to come back up, and so obviously they weren't really born in the state and wouldn't be in any of the projections for head counts in elementary school. And I know for a fact I'm not the only person who moved away and back and had kids and whatnot during the pandemic. So I feel like looking at the pandemic data to project things isn't maybe the best long-term strategy, although I am aware that I've seen the graphs. I think it was in Dr. Andrade's presentation. There was like a 10-year graph of enrollment. And this is not a direct question that I need an answer to right now, but my curiosity comes from the elementary perspective, since we're looking at closing elementary schools. Is there publicly available data that we can look at that has just elementary enrollment numbers over that decade timeframe? Because I've been looking between the Harriman study and your presentation, trying to get a clear answer for how many elementary school enrollments we've had over the last decade, and to see that trend. And I don't actually see that very clearly, at least in what's publicly available. And I think that's an important data point to look at when you're talking about closing elementary schools. And that's really all I came to say. And I hope y'all consider, I don't think it's doing nothing, by the way, to keep all the schools open, because I know there's a sentiment in y'all's meetings about how, well, we're kind of kicking the can down the road, and I feel that like budgets are really constrained, but I think it is really like a noble thing to work toward keeping our community schools open, and that I would appreciate y'all if that was your goal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Philip Marvin?
Might have actually taken 3 minutes.
Nope, I had the timer on. You had 6 seconds left. Wow. So good call.
Hi, I'm Philip Marvin, 10 Marion Lane. Education is important to me because I grew up in a different place entirely. I grew up in New Zealand, and our sense of community is very important to us. And I feel that community here. Like when I'm clearing my driveway, the snow's come through, right? I'm clearing my driveway. It's 5, 6 families walking their kids down the street. And we're walking distance to New Searles. So I think our community would feel that loss if we closed New Searles. So I just want to make that really clear, that school is important to us. My kids don't even go there yet. I think a lot of other people are going to feel exactly the same way. But that school's also my polling place. So I know what it looks like on the inside. I know that we've done renovations recently, like the security vestibule. We're working on the school all the time, and I don't see that represented in the study that came out. So that's really all I really wanted to say.
Thank you. Okay. I appreciate everybody being flexible. I actually now, do we want to do?
If we could.
Okay, so Dr. I'm going to hand the floor over to Dr. Andrade for recognition presentation. We have an administrative recommendation.
So if I can call up Dr. Vicente. So tonight we have a personnel recommendation for Director of Special Education. So in your packet, you received Dr. Vicente's CV. And so tonight will be a little different from the HR committees in the past. So we talked it being a little different. So this would be the first one that we're actually going straight to the full board on an admin recommendation. But tonight is a recommendation to approve Dr. Francisco Vicente to the Director of Special Education. So Frank, if you want to introduce yourself, a little bit of your background, and then I'm sure the board will have a couple questions for you.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Good evening, everybody. Members of the board, Dr. Andrade, Mr. Pasca, Dr. Scarpati. First and foremost, just thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm excited for the conversation. So as Dr. Andrade said, my name is Dr. Francisco Vicente. I go by Frank. I'm a longtime career special educator, special education teacher, district leader, and it's been my privilege to be in public education for about 25 years now. I actually started my career many moons ago as a paraprofessional and doing some substitute teaching here in New Hampshire at Salem High School. I'm a Salem resident. And I made the transition for my first teaching position with the Lawrence Public Schools. Spent a couple years in special education with Lawrence, just kind of learning the system, trying to find my place in the circle, which led me to the Lowell Public Schools. I had the privilege of being with Lowell for almost 20 years. I sort of grew up professionally in Lowell as a teacher, as an evaluation team chair, where I was LEAing meetings as a school leader, and eventually serving as their special education director. Around 2023, I was approached with an opportunity to join the Boston Public Schools. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do yet. I'd been with Lowell for a long time. It had sort of been my professional home. I'm married. I have one son. My son has autism, but he was older, and doing well in life. And the more I talked to Boston, the more that I learned about their inclusive education opportunity and the plan that they are undergoing right now, and a change in enrollment. And I saw an opportunity that I decided was worth pursuing. So it's been my privilege to serve as the Deputy Chief of Instruction and Professional Learning Services for the Boston Public Schools for the past 3 years. Just as far as sort of situationally and demographics in the organization, Boston is a very large district. As opposed to having a special ed director, they have 9 special ed directors, and their directors were direct reports to me for the past few years. It's given me a great opportunity, incredible experience, a lot of important learning, an opportunity to really get exposed to some things that I had not had the opportunity to participate in. And I have to say that I've thoroughly enjoyed my experience in Boston. I have nothing to say about them professionally beyond that my experience there has been excellent, and they've been excellent to me. But what I've learned in that 3 years is that my job is rooted in policy. And it has removed me from what I had in Lowell, which is where I was part of the fabric of the community, where I had direct outreach to the schools, to the educators, to the families, to the students. In Boston, if I have a school that requires my attention in Dorchester and a school that requires my attention in East Boston, those are 2 or 3 days away apart by way of just the nature of the city and the 100 schools in between. And I don't have that same connection and that same opportunity, and I'm missing that. About a year and a half ago, Dr. Katrina Esparza at McCarthy Middle School had given me a call. We were longstanding colleagues. She had talked to me about doing some coaching work and some things with her staff there. Had the opportunity to meet Mr. Posca through that work. And, by way of Mr. Posca, Dr. Andrade, and started to do some different levels of professional work with your staff this year. And it's been a tremendous experience. And I've gotten to know them. I've been here, seen them in a lot of different settings, had some very important conversations with them. And I've listened to your special educators talk to me about the things that they're seeing and the things that they're feeling. And every time that I walked out of the place, I said to myself, I can help them. I know I can help them. And I started just thinking about all the years that I had invested into my community in Lowell. But I also started thinking about just the fact that I've been a resident of the Merrimack Valley for a very long time, that my son came up in New Hampshire special education. And I think that I have something to offer. So, it's been sort of a complex decision-making process for me. But I've been very honest and transparent with my colleagues in Boston that, that I was going to be looking at another opportunity that I felt a little bit better and closer to home, literally. Got a bit of a mobile office right now in Boston, but also just lends me back to doing the kind of work that I enjoy doing, which is much more hands-on and direct with the communities and families. So that's what I'm hoping to bring here to this space. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Dr. Vicente?
Ms. Prin?
I'm a teacher myself, so
Sure.
thanks. You said that you talked to the teachers and you said you can help. What are some ways that you can help those teachers?
Yeah, so, we started off the year when I came in, made the transition. Well, let me back up and start with McCarthy. So I had some conversations with Dr. Esparza, and I asked her, what are we really looking for? And it was really around the supports about making the transition to more inclusive education and more services in the general education classroom. And so what I learned from your staff was 2 things. First of all, there wasn't a really clear and cohesive understanding of what that meant for McCarthy, just individually as a community. So it was really important to go through the process with them to be able to state that and name that and take some ownership of that as a community. And so I asked them to start thinking about, well, what do you think it looks like? As opposed to me just coming in here and showing you models and telling you, I would like for you to be part of the solution. And through that, what we learned is there was a lot of questions and discussions around use of time, around scheduling, around, some of it service related, but just really how are they structuring their school day? And so one of the things that we started talking about was just these planning sessions. And some of them, the level of collaboration that I was supporting them through, they had some limited exposure to, and oftentimes it was around just sort of finding time in the day. So we started with a model of just 5-minute planning sessions, and then eventually 15-minute sessions, and then 45-minute sessions, and then started bringing together more cohesive groups of teams and grade levels. And we started with that work, and each time we would go in and we would dig into different subject matter. And what I found was that they had a lot of great answers. There was a lot of expertise there that they just needed to be asked the right questions, right? And they really wanted to be part of the solution. And to kind of bring that full circle, when I was last here, I was doing a presentation here about some of the operational pieces around specially designed instruction for students. And, you know, they started talking to me about the things that were familiar to them and the things that were not. But one of the things that they said to me that was really important is they said, you know, the work that we're doing around inclusive education, we understand it and we want to do it. We're just not quite sure yet how to connect the dots in all the spaces. And, you know, for them to be able to just openly say that to me was really important to me. And it was very valuable because what I heard is what I had seen was a group of people that were invested in the work and wanted to do right by kids and wanted to make sure that they were thinking forward in the ways to best service kids. So really, it's been about getting them connected to the work and helping them to be part of the solutions and really listening to them and asking them to help me to sort of formulate what it is that they're looking for. And they've been great about it. They've also been very honest. You know, one of the things that I appreciate about the group that I've worked with is they're not afraid to tell me what they're thinking, and they're not afraid to be forward, right? But they've always wanted to be part of the solution, and I've really appreciated that.
Ms. Lamphere?
Hi, it's nice to meet you, Dr. Vincenti. I was just wondering, we have a lot of people that we hire through contract services in the district, and I'm wondering if you could tell us how you envision the contract people working with the district employees, and also I know that I'm assuming that managing the contracts will be part of your job, deciding how many, like what you need and stuff.
Yeah.
Could you say anything about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So it's interesting, when I made the transition into Lowell, I transitioned in with a chief financial officer who was new to the district and new to the role. So we got to spend a lot of time with them learning together around management of, you know, of our state funding, around the 240 grant, around 262, and really being thoughtful about how we were going to fund the programs that we had and be really thoughtful about that. So it's something that I've had to, just by sort of happenstance, I've had a lot of opportunity beyond what I would consider traditional special education director work to be able to be directly connected to the budget. I also do a lot of that same type of work in Boston. So first and foremost, I've read some articles and recently, you know, heard some of the conversations around contracted services. And the critical shortage in a lot of areas around staffing and everything is something that's very real and impacting a lot of communities. I'm looking forward to coming in and being able to spend some more time within your data systems to really analyze and make sure that I have a full understanding of what that encompasses beyond what I've seen at the surface level. I think whenever we can be the most thoughtful about the use of our services, about the use of our providers, about the use of our staff in a way that's going to support students is always going to be the priority. And I think that if we look at everything holistically and think about our different opportunities to allocate our funding in all areas, oftentimes that's where I've been able to have the greatest level of success to make some determinations about how we can move forward with that work. Let me just give you a quick example. When I went to Boston Public Schools, we were having this conversation about this balance of fiscal management, and I was doing a lot of work in two areas with special education and with the Office of Multilingual Learners. And what they said to me is that the DOJ offers very clear guidance about the Office of Multilingual Learners, but there really isn't anything for special education. And I pushed back. I said, no, there really is. There is, and it lies first and foremost within the regulatory guidance as a baseline to start to build your structure from there. And so I started working with schools to really rethink and reimagine how they were using their funding sources within their schools, how they were structuring their programs, and where the opportunities were. And in particular, I had a couple of schools that were looking for more staffing, but when we started to look at the way that they were grouping and building out their master schedule, they started to see that there were opportunities not only to think differently about the structures of the school, but then there were opportunities to kind of reimagine some of their funding and create some new positions that they hadn't seen before. And all of that really comes from that high level of analysis of looking at everything holistically and looking at it globally. So for me to be able to get in and work with the team and kind of take a look at that data and see where those opportunities is going to be first and foremost. Because the one thing that I have seen is that there's definitely a need to consider what's happening with contracted services and see where we can find the best opportunities for the district. You bet.
Ms. Raymond, and then Ms. Lewis,
Oh,
and then Ms. Lopez.
I can wait.
It's okay.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Dr. Vicente. Thank you for coming out here tonight.
Sure,
And,
thank you.
as someone with a spouse who travels to Cambridge, I know that commute well, and I am quite sure that this will be a more pleasant commute for you. So my question is about your philosophy on making sure that parents are included in the special education process and how you would handle things when parents are feeling like they're not being as included as they need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for raising that. Parents are partners. That's really important. And they're our students' first teachers, and they're members of the team. It's both their legal right, and it's also just what's right? So I welcome the participation of parents. I seek out the parents and create opportunities for parents to be a part of the work. I think that's really important. This past year, as I've sort of opened my portfolio in Boston, I've reimagined the PD system to be a regional PD model. It used to be citywide PDs where we were having sort of these large-scale PDs with a lot of people. And what I found is we were getting less accomplished, so we created smaller professional learning communities. And we've spent probably about the first 3 months just focused on family partnerships and learning how to work as a team and how to collaborate and where people come together, not only to invite parents to participate, but being considerate of who they were, their needs, their individualities, the different cultures that we were working with within the community, and just making sure how important people understood that they had a space at the table and that they were part of the decision-making process. The other thing that I appreciate about my current experience in Boston is that it is a culture there to really embrace the community and create a lot of community opportunities in the way of community fairs and family resource center and lots of different things that are happening right now. And in all of those spaces, it's given me time and opportunity to work with lots of different folks that are solely focused on that aspect of the work with our students, right? And making sure that there's a strong sense of belonging for the students and that there's a strong sense of belonging for our families. And that's really maximized our potential in the work. Sure.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much for being here today.
Sure.
I wanted to ask a question. So I have a daughter. She goes to McCarthy actually, and she's in special education.
Mm-hmm.
And I did ask a question a couple of weeks ago regarding the number of students who are enrolled within our special education and within our ELL.
Yeah.
What it looks like with them being included in like sports or after school activities and things. Again, inclusivity, right, is really important, and collaboration was another word that you used. I stutter a little bit. I just wanted to see, like, what are your thoughts on being able to expanding your team to collaborate more with some of the coaches, other teachers, after-school programs within the community to try to get kids more involved? And I don't know if based off of your expertise, if you believe that children who are in school, if they should also be participating in after-school activities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me just start by just naming some of my foundational thoughts and beliefs, okay? Free and appropriate public education is the fundamental civil right of students with disabilities. It's their right, it's their guarantee, it's our responsibility, okay? And by the law, it comes with the conference of academic and functional benefit. Okay, so in short term, that means that when we make decisions for them, we have a responsibility to show how they are benefiting from that decision, not how we're benefiting, but how they're benefiting. Okay, and they always have a seat at the table. Okay, we have an obligation to offer a full continuum of services, and they're all general education students first, no matter what. Okay, and they're just as much a part of the fabric of the community as everybody else is, and it's our responsibility to make sure that that's known, to make sure that that's supported, and to make sure that we put that first and foremost with everything we do. So I want to see every opportunity possible for them to see and feel as though they are a member of the community and have that same strongest sense of belonging that everybody else does. It means that we have to seriously think about some of the questions I was looking at earlier about how do we look at our current structures to make sure that we have the appropriate supports in place for them, okay? Because we have a legal obligation to do that. And I firmly believe that if we have the opportunity to take a look at our data and unpack what we're currently doing, there's always opportunities for that, okay? So again, I'm really looking forward to being able to dig in with the team and expand on some of that work. I think that some of it comes down to just some basic systems and structures. Aside from doing some PD work with your teachers, I've had the opportunity to do some work with your team, some work with your special education team to look at things like what's happening with the procedure manuals right now, what's happening with different levels of handbooks, how are we thinking about master scheduling, how are we thinking about all the things that encompass the work of our students, and progressively, what does that mean during the traditional school day, and what does that mean beyond, right? Because all of it's interconnected. It's all part of the student experience. You bet.
So thank you for coming. My question is, as you have many specialties with IEPs through training and implementation, how do you see helping us with IEPs versus 504 plans?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, so they're distinctly different. We want to make sure that we understand the difference, right? So first and foremost, special education as a whole comes down to three primary pillars, right? The first is the vehicle to service, the IEP of the 504 plan. We want to make sure that we have strong and well-developed IEPs in service of our students, okay? And we want to make sure that we have a vested interest in doing that. The second part is having an appropriate understanding of the law, of IDEA, of New Hampshire ED 1100, and making sure that we understand the basis of those foundations. And then the third thing is research-based and evidence-based practices and bringing them to the classroom. Okay, and we want to marry those three things together to put ourselves in the best position possible to provide services for our students. But going back to students on IEPs, it starts with the foundation of the IEP meeting. One of the things that's really important to me, and it's one of the places that I started with some of my work here, and I will continue my work, and it's what I've done everywhere I've gone, is to how to run just a highly effective IEP meeting, how to run a highly effective 504 meeting, how to make sure that it's truly a team process, and to make sure that there's a seat and participation and foundation for everybody, because it all starts there, right? There's some really critical decisions that get made there. We set the foundation within that meeting process. The second part is just make sure that people understand all the different components and aspects of both, making sure that people understand what does IDEA call for with IEPs, what does ADA call for with 504s, what does it mean to qualify? What is required and what are the misnomers about what don't need to be in place to make sure that students have what they need? I want to make sure that I take the time to analyze what people know about that and then continue to build on everybody's expertise to include my own about how that work is happening. You know, something that I've learned in special education over all the years I've done it is that there's a lot of evolution. There was some significant changes to IDEA itself in 2017 around the Andrew case in Colorado that fundamentally changed the way that we should be thinking about special education. And what I found in my last two districts is that there was some limited understanding of that. And so getting to that core foundation and make sure that people really know what that important baseline regulatory guidance is and how to use it effectively and how to run a really strong IEP meeting and start from the very beginning is what I found to be the best way possible to really be mostly effective to reach out to everybody. So those critical pieces come together to help me to really support teams in understanding What does an IEP call for? What does a 504 plan call for? What's the difference between the two? And to make sure that we're supporting both of those groups of students and families critically. You bet.
Thank you. And I have one final question,
Sure.
and then I'll give the floor back to Dr. Andrade. But speaking about the comprehensive and collaborative meetings for creation of the IEPs, is what do you feel is the role in data collection and presentation? Is that something that you're including at a seat at the
Absolutely.
table when we're coming up with plans for what kids need?
100%. Everything needs to be data-driven. I believe in a responsive teams model where we're looking at data and making data-informed decisions, right? There's a really clear cycle that we have to make sure that teams come prepared, that they have the critical data, that they have the opportunity and the time to look at the data, that they know what they're looking for, and that it's driving the decisions that we make. So to go to an IEP meeting without the data, you immediately put yourself on your back foot as to how to move forward with students. So it's critical that we do that in all aspects of the work. And it's the same thing that happens in the classroom, right? Oftentimes in the roles that I've had in central administration in all my districts, I kind of have a top-level view because of where I sit in my positionality and that I'm not in the classroom anymore. But my goal ultimately in my job is to make sure that this high-level work makes it to the classroom. Right? We're here to build sustainable programs that are in support of schools, that are in support of teachers, so that kids get what they need, right? So it all has to work back to the classroom. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that we have common understanding of all of our systems, and data is arguably the most important part, right, to drive those decisions.
Sorry, I know we start talking data and the folks doing the boots on the ground work, really, we feel like we're adding to their already full platter.
Yeah.
How do you support the teachers and the staff in collecting all of that data so that it is
Sure.
useful and also not so much of a burden that it interferes with their ability to provide
Yeah,
that
it's one more,
one-to-one?
you can see it as one more thing, right?
Yeah.
So schools are data-rich environments, right? I can't imagine how many thousands of IEPs that I've been in, meetings been over, the 20-plus years of my career. I've certainly been to IEP meetings when we've had great data and when we didn't. It's critically important that we have it, and it's critically important that people understand how it's connected to the work. So I talk to staff not just about data, but what's the readily available data? Because there's always readily available data, right? Where schools are data-rich environments. There's always opportunities to assess the work that's happening with students. And when staff understand that every opportunity they have to work with a student is a data opportunity, then we can oftentimes cohese that together so that they can come to IEP meetings prepared. I think that when I talk to teachers about data, the struggle with it is often that they're not sure what data is most effective to bring to the table and where to come. And then sometimes they ultimately get in a space where they're trying to create data because they're trying to solve the riddle, right? As opposed to thinking about where's the readily available data. You've already got formative assessments, you've got summative assessments, you have state data, you have different types of standardized, non-standardized measures that are happening all the time that are built into your school day. So we want to maximize the potential in those spaces so that it's just part of the fabric of what you do.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you standing up here. I'm sure you weren't anticipating being up here for almost half an hour, but we get really excited when people come into our district and what kind of opportunities you're offering that may differ from what we're used to. So like I said about 10 minutes ago, before I started talking, I'll hand the floor back over to Dr. Andrade.
Yeah, so I'm happy to make a recommendation tonight to elect Dr. Francisco Facente to the position of Director of Special Education effective July 1st, 2026, at an annual salary of $128,458.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Wait, I'm sorry, who seconded it?
Ms.
Ms.
Lopez.
Lopez, okay.
I would say comments or questions, but I feel like we just did a lot of questions. Mr. Johnson?
No, I enjoyed being on HR committee. I'm now no longer HR committee, but one of my last days of interviewing was with Frank, and everyone in that interview was just, extremely impressed with what you brought to it. So I'm very thankful for you to be coming on board.
Thank you. Thank
Excellent.
you. I really appreciate it, guys. This is my life's work. This is what I'm passionate about. I'm a special education parent. I'm a teacher. That's what I do. I've always been a teacher, and that's the basis of who I am and how I make my decisions. So thank you.
Excellent. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Welcome to the team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So this brings us up to, yes, okay. So I am actually looking for a motion to go into non-public over RSA 91A32E.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Lampier. Can I get a second?
Second.
And now we have to do roll call because it's non-public, so we just have to let Ms. Raymond catch up.
Okay. Motion was made by Jen, seconded by Ms.
Ms. Lampier said the motion, and then it was seconded by Ms. Prin.
Okay. And the motion was made at 6:41 p.m.
To E.
Wait. Oh, they got. I'm sorry, this is the wrong. Backwards, that's why. Sorry, it's on the wrong page. 2E. I'm sorry, when Ms. Kinsella or Ms. Porter take a look at this, all of the non-public minutes pages are in so that page 2 is first and page 1 is second, which is very confusing and has messed me up. Okay, roll call. Ms. Gilio?
Yes.
Ms. Prin?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Raymond is a yes. Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Salvy's not here. Ms. Lampier?
Yes.
Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
And Ms. Bishop?
Yes, we are now in non-public. It is 6:44. So if you are not an elected board member or administration, I would ask that you guys take a step out, and we'll call you back when it's time to come back in.
Hold on, I gotta flip the page.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Gilio.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. This brings us up to our first public question comment period. Mr. Johnson, do you mind?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, so first, for items on the agenda, Gary Hoffman, come on down. Average salary.
Gary Hoffman, 38 Perham Street, Townhouse D, Nashua, New Hampshire. I'm going to keep my comments to HB 1265, which is actually the last page of your document. Evidently, this is a new bill that we have to follow, and I think that this makes us as a district look pretty good. I like that they take costs and they require us to adjust them for inflation. I know next week we have a very difficult budget to look through. And I just want to point this out to the public that if you look at this document here, the reason the costs are rising aren't because of employee salaries. And that is the case for not only, the people I represent, but administrators as well. If you look at this, granted, when you look at the average teacher salary, I've always hated that they use that. I've always preferred that we use the median, heck, if Bill Gates sat down in this room and we took the average salary, we'd all be multimillionaires, but it doesn't mean anything. However, we do use the average, and we see that if we adjust it for inflation, the average teacher's salary is about $7,000 less than it was only a few years ago in 2020, 2021. And we don't know exactly the reason. Could have been some higher on the salary schedule, teachers retiring. But, the point when you look at this data, it's not keeping up. And so it's really not a salary issue. And same thing with administrative salaries, and even the cost per pupil. It's really just kind of, barely keeping up with inflation and not even really doing that. So tough budget next year, but I do encourage, the voters, because this is what it's geared toward, take a look at this document. It's not salaries that's causing this issue. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up on our agenda is superintendent comments, so I will hand the floor over to Dr. Andrade.
Yep, thank you. Just great segue from Mr. Hoffman's comments. So next March 9th at 6 p.m., we'll be having our budget hearing. Our FY27 budget hearing will take place next week. The proposed budget represents a 6% increase over last year and is intentionally aligned to our foundation of our 25-2030 strategic plan. Again, the mission of the Nashua School District is to provide a personalized educational opportunities and cultivate the skills and perspectives necessary for meaningful contributions to the community. And again, just our vision statement, I hope that we can live by. We are a community where curiosity drives education and every learner is valued. The budget also supports our 4 strategic focus areas: climate, culture, community engagement, teaching, learning, and lead-in, operational efficiency, and future planning. Innovate, research, and design. We believe this proposal maintains fiscal responsibility while protecting the core student-centered priorities that define Nashua. Also, as a FYI, our Welcome Center is open. Registration is open to all new students to the district. Please visit our website at www.nashua.edu to learn how to register. There's 2 ways. You can go in person, 8 to 4, at the Welcome Center on the Birch Hill campus, or the second way is online and just follow directions there. So again, registration is open for new students for this upcoming school year. Meals Matter fundraiser. Meals Matter is a district program that continues to address food insecurity across our schools. This year alone, the program has already expended over $5,000 to support students in need, and the requests continue to grow significantly. Referrals are coming from school counselors, social workers, food service staff, and building administrators. This program directly supports students so that they can focus on learning rather than hunger. If community members are interested in contributing to the upcoming fundraiser, please contact Leslie Anton at Nashua North High School for more information. Our emergency service and first responder pathway, where in our program of studies, we talked about our new emergency services and first responder pathway. It's a 2-level CTE program designed to prepare students for careers in law enforcement, firefighting, emergency medical services, and emergency management. Year 1 provides for broad foundational knowledge across all areas in public safety, and Year 2 allows students to deepen learning through career-focused specialization. This pathway strengthens our commitment to real-world learning, workforce development, community partnerships, and applied career exploration. It represents another step forward in expanding our relevant career-aligned programming for our students. High school athlete updates. Track and field, we had several North and South track athletes compete at the New England Championships. In wrestling, South senior Ben Byrne is the Division I state champion in his weight class. He and 2 additional Nashua wrestlers will compete in the Meet of Champions. Too many pages. And 2 South female wrestlers competed in the championships and performed strongly in their first year in the sport. Basketball, the regular season's complete. The South girls basketball team finished 15-3 and earned the number 4 seed. They're hosting Pinkerton tonight. I was hoping we could get over there, maybe not tonight. If victorious, we will host the winner of the Exeter-Portsmouth game on Thursday evening. North girls basketball finished 8-10, earning a number 15 seed. They're traveling to Bedford tonight. If victorious, they'll face the winner of Central West in Salem. South boys finished 11-7, entering the tournament at number 7. They're hosting Wyndham on Wednesday. If victorious, they will face the winner of Bedford Merrimack on Saturday. Ice hockey, girls ice hockey finished the season 3-14-1, and they just had a great senior night and will not qualify for playoffs. And boys hockey currently sit at 4 wins and also won't qualify, but I think it's a great year in ice hockey for the first year of boys being combined as well as girls hockey. We remain proud of the dedication, sportsmanship, and perseverance of all of our student athletes. So again, our budget hearing is next week. We welcome the community to come out and discuss our budget proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. This brings us up to our board member response to the superintendent comment. So I'll start over here with Ms. Gilio.
No comment.
Ms. Prin.
Hi, thank you so much for all of the updates. And I just had a couple of little things I wanted to mention that I think I'm noticing that there's more community involvement with things here in Nashua. For example, I will be on Tuesday going to a focus group meeting at Fairgrounds Middle School to be talking about community-based learning, which I think is a great idea, making Fairgrounds a community school, and I hope we can do more of that in the district. And also through the United Way actually it's happening tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, all kinds of community members are going to the elementary schools to read. I'm going to be at Charlotte Ave on Thursday, and I'm really excited. And I'd love to see when we can do that, and I hope there are more opportunities as time goes by for the community to be involved with the schools.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
Just happy to hear about the success our students are having. Good luck to all the athletes tonight, and let's bring on spring sports.
Ms. Lewis?
I just want to say thank you for sharing all of that information. I love to hear that our students are thriving as athletes. I also wanted to share that it's Women's History Month, so happy Women's History Month. Thank you.
Ms. Lampier?
No comment, thanks.
Ms. Lopez?
I just thought I wanted to share a quote from Jesse Jackson that says, "Keep hope alive, keep hope alive, keep hope alive." I just think that sitting on the board, we're hearing a lot of different things. We need the community to show up and keep hope alive.
Thank you. Ms. Raymond?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Andre, for those updates. I love hearing about the stuff the kids are doing. I did want to ask, because you had talked about the budget, that you include that those charts that are at the back of our packet in the budget materials on the website, because I think that they're interesting and helpful as we're making decisions.
Yeah, they were already posted.
Oh, fantastic. Clearly, I have not looked in the last
Yeah, it's actually,
couple days.
yeah, there's a icon that you can click on that will bring you to the graphics.
Fantastic. I think they're really great graphs. They make me happy. Data.
Love data. Okay, on the piggyback of it's Women's Month, it's also Social Work Month, but it's also School Social Worker Week. So I'll always take the opportunity to celebrate my fellow social work friends because we're amazing people. No, just kidding. All right, well, thank you for that, guys. I will hand the floor over to our student member. You're by yourself today, Ms. Pratu.
I am. Aaliyah's actually at the girls' varsity basketball game, so she's cheering them on from over there. One thing we wanted to mention, though, and it's been brought up to Aaliyah and I both a lot in the last couple of weeks, was the growing student concern over the change of the schedule for high schoolers and the removal of E-block and creating a 5-block schedule for the next school year. So I'm not sure if any or if any board decisions led to this. However, we wanted to highlight a couple points about this change. One of the biggest uneases that we've kind of heard about is the lack of one-on-one time with teachers and the removal and inability of clubs to run. So E-Block is around only like 40 minutes, I believe. And while short, it gives a lot of students the opportunity to complete missed classwork, discuss recovery options with their teachers, finish tests or quizzes, and just more importantly, seek individual help academically and in other aspects beyond academics. And especially for underclassmen, this time has proved to be essential for when they don't have the ability to find an alternate ride home because they rely on the bus system. And a lot of parents also encourage their children to utilize this time because they may have extracurricular activities, sports, family commitments, and for a lot of the high schoolers at both of the schools, paying jobs where students can't financially afford to reduce their working hours. So there's been a lot of concern on that, and beyond what has been expressed as an inconvenience to a lot of kids, as it's been brought up to us, it also limits the communication just between students and their teachers, where for many, the time is critical in forming relationships and seeking the help that they need. Other major concerns include like how and when clubs will take place. At Nashua South alone, there's over 115 clubs, I believe, and I think this count is very similar to that in Nashua North. I was also talking to Ms. Raymond, and we had some questions about how the CTE classes and enrollment will change as like schools like Alvern that are part of our CTE courses have those 4 period days. And then also just school assemblies and events, how that's going to impact student life and participation. But that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Those are great questions and great observations. And we're always so happy when you guys share with us kind of the students' perspective, because we're obviously just a couple years out of high school, so we don't know exactly what's going on. So we really, that is way too much laughter. So we're very glad that you kind of pulled your fellow classmates, and we do take what you say with a lot of weight to it. So thank you for sharing all of that.
I will say, as Aaliyah and I are both going to be rising seniors next year, especially among our class, there's a lot of dislike around this.
Yes, I'm hearing that at my house too, so don't worry. All right, guys, so this brings us up to, the business. Committee on Budget, we have the next couple of meetings. Ms. Lampier, do you want to fill us in on next meetings? I mean, I have them in front of me, but it's your committee, so. Okay, so the next meeting is going to be March 9th, which is the public hearing, which Dr. Andrade was talking about in his superintendent's comments. If we want to, if we feel like we've been able to digest and answer questions to the best of, like, we're not going to unearth anything else, we can have a meeting after that to vote on the presented budget. If not, we will be definitely voting on March 11th. So either way you cut it, next week is going to be a busy week for us. So if you have follow-up questions about what you have heard, get them to administration so that they can get together information if we need to present more, not present more, if we need to clarify things for either March 9th or March 11th when we vote on what we're going to present to the Board of Aldermen. Okay? Anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Anyway, thanks, Ms. Lampier, for letting me steal your thunder. We don't have anything for F&O tonight, so we will jump right over to Ms. Raymond for Committee on Policy.
Thank you. Policy keeps getting snowed out, so we are still trying to do our second readings from our January meeting, and we meet again, not next week, but the week after that, that Tuesday, and I forget what day that is, but it's the Tuesday after next.
Yep.
Will be our next meeting.
16th, I think.
All right. So tonight we're on second reading. All of these policies have come to the board at least once. And so we are ready to vote on them this evening, and so I'm just going to make motions, and then if people have questions, they can, of course, ask the questions. All right, so I move that we approve policy BDE, committees and delegates.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Does anyone need me to tell you what the difference is? I'll just do it. So we've added the sealed minutes committee because we voted last year to add that as a committee to comply with state law.
Okay. Any other comments or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving policy BDE as presented, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Great. So I now move that we approve policy BDEF, which is the sealed non-public minutes review committee policy, which explains what that committee does.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Do you want to?
That's it.
Okay. This is pretty straightforward. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving policy BDEF, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. The next one, I move that we approve policy EBB entitled School Safety.
Second.
There seems to be a lot of work on this. Do you want to just give a brief overview of the changes?
Sure. So there were a number of legal updates that required a number of policies regarding school safety to be rearranged, I think is the word I'm going to use. So we have updated our school safety policy to be very clear that the superintendent is responsible for developing and maintaining a safety plan for the district, and then it goes through what that really means as far as emergency operation plans, for things like sports injuries, for other security issues on school grounds. And then there will be several other policies that I'm going to present about other areas of school safety,
Right.
like chemicals and stuff like that.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving policy EBB, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. The next policy is EBBB, accident reports. And so I move that we approve that one.
Second.
Okay, and then this one, you'll notice there is no red because when we reviewed our policy, it is perfectly aligned with the state law on this.
Good.
There were no updates to state laws requiring any changes.
Excellent.
So we bring it to the board and we ask you to approve it because state law says we have to look at all of our policies every 4 years, and so this resets the clock.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Oops, sorry.
Sorry. So seeing no other comments or questions, all those in favor of passing policy EBBB, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, so I move that we approve policy EBCA, which has now been retitled Crisis Prevention and Emergency Operations Plan.
Second.
Okay, and so this one now has more information about school hazards, like medical emergencies, fire drills, that kind of crisis management.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of, seeing no other comments or questions, all those in favor of policy EBCA, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Well, I just have to flip my page. Okay, so now I move, this is the last one, to approve policy EBCH, the Chemical Safety and Chemical Hygiene Plan.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson. So you'll see again that there are no significant changes to this policy, except we've changed the lettering because we pulled this out of the very first policy we introduced tonight and made it its own policy to comply with the new way that the state wants us to do it. There will be another policy coming We have the actual chemical safety plans themselves. This policy says we have to have them. We have actual ones for lab work. The state has asked us to add things like cleaning supplies to those plans. And so those are still being worked on to update them, and we'll bring those to a future meeting. It's really exciting, the stuff we do over in policy. It's riveting.
Okay, seeing no other comments or questions, all those in favor of policy EBCH, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. That is the end of policy. Ms. Raymond, did you want to skedaddle?
I do need to leave. I apologize. My husband's having surgery in the morning in Boston, and we have to leave our house at 4 a.m. So I would like to sleep a little bit before I do that drive. Ms. Lamper, do you mind taking the notes if I bring them to you?
Sure.
So, thank you. Sorry.
That's okay. I've been keeping an eye on the time.
Thank you.
So while you're walking on over there, it looks like our next CNE meeting is going to be February 18th.
We had it, that would be last week. Or no, over vacation, it was my vacation.
Yeah.
Did have
It
it.
is March.
Sorry, it's March now.
Yeah.
I'm very tired today. I got a new student and we had a fire drill. So
Oh, my gosh. So I'm going to guess that the Committee on Human Resources, February 9th, already happened as well, so I will not embarrass myself by time traveling again. So this brings us up to our unfinished business, our discussion on open enrollment. So I'll hand the floor over to Dr. Andrade.
Yep, so this is, again, no new information, but we had the public hearing, it seems like 2 weeks ago at this point. This will be an agenda item next week for your vote. So we're just wondering if, based on the public hearing, are there any additional questions that you might have that we need to provide to you before your vote next week?
I'm sorry, I have a thought before I leave. I would like to see us revise some of those numbers downward a little bit. I think I've seen some feedback. I've heard from my role at the state from businesses who are worried about open enrollment and how that will affect communities. I just, I don't want to have too many kids and have too much movement, especially when we don't know what's going on with state funding. So that's my feedback.
I just kind of have a clarifying question, and I apologize if this has already been answered. I know currently within the district, a lot of people are doing variances. Will those people on variances kind of be grandfathered in, or does everybody have to start from scratch?
Yeah.
Really?
You want it?
Everyone needs to start from scratch and apply. We did send out a mass email on Monday, February 16th, to all families that are currently on variances with the directions for how the new process works and the link to the application. We already have, I think, 96 requests in, which I'm guessing is largely from that pool of people, but it is live on the website, and those families currently on variances did receive direct notification of the change.
Just a question regarding, you said that it's live on the website. What can someone do to find that? I saw that there's a registration link there, but is there a separate form for this?
Yes, it's on the home page, and it says open enrollment. And if you click on that, it has the directions and the direct link to apply.
If you just go right onto the district website, it's a pop-up.
Okay.
And every time you try to move around
Registration
it.
though, right?
That's registration.
Oh, is that different?
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
different. Yeah, because I
is on the
did
main
look
page.
for it.
Should
I
have my
did try to
glasses on.
find it on that main page because we didn't have, I don't think that link worked for us in the last meeting. This was like weeks ago. But I was just curious. I guess I'll take a look again.
Yeah, it's one of, there's boxes under recent news. It's one of the boxes.
Okay. And it's just titled as enrollment?
Open enrollment.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Ms. I'm trying to remember all the way back to that day after such a long day here. I'm just wondering, is that the one about the high school as well, accepting 20 to 25? Right. Okay, so I did remember Dr. Scarpati talking about that and that, but I also now am very much abreast of how I remember how I felt that day about the 20 to 25 getting preference and all that kind of stuff in the yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
there's two components. There's one that's inter-district, and so that's more the variances that Ms. Prin talked about. And then the second component that needs a vote is how many students will we allow in and out. So that's what Ms. Raymond was referring to.
Are they two separate votes?
So we need the vote for the inter-district, between districts.
So open enrollment is up and live on the website and has been since the beginning of February. Thank you so very much for all that hard work. The vote for next week that we're talking about is the high school being able to accept the 20 to 25 people from all over. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So,
Okay.
not that at all.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Any other comments or,
That's it.
okay. Let's move on to new business. So, Dr. Andrade, I will hand the floor back over to you.
So we're looking for a recommendation to approve the personnel recommendations tonight.
Second.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Gilio. Seconding, Ms. Lopez? Okay. And Ms. Lampier over there, so I'm just trying to keep an eye on if she's ready.
I'm ready.
Thank you.
Okay. Any comments or questions? If we have specific comments or questions about specific teachers, we need to go into non-public. If we don't have any, then we can just vote. I'm just looking for questioning eyes. Okay. All those in favor of approving the personnel recommendations from Monday, March 2nd as presented, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Yeah, I just have one comment on the personnel recommendations. So we did get an official letter of resignation, so I just want to call out and thank Mr. Posca for his years of service. And so his official resignation is in the personnel packet tonight. So just really want to thank him for his years of leadership with the district. We're truly going to miss Morella the horseshoe.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can amend our vote. Yes, and we second all the work that you've done, and we'll miss you on the horseshoe, but we also are incredibly pleased to know that you're going on and spreading your wings and doing some new stuff and closer to home, I bet.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Right? It's twice the life.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
So, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so the next recommendation, I'll ask Mr. Smith to come down. We're looking for a recommendation to approve the purchase of the MT trackless in the amount of $195,005, funding from the City of Nashua FY26 in the Capital Equipment Reserve Fund, the SURF account.
I'm going to make this motion because I think these are the coolest machines, and I want to get a per diem job with you, Sean, and drive it. I asked the Department of Public Works if they'd let me do it, and they just said they have like union issues and I can't just show up when I want to. But that was a fun conversation one night.
We could do it after hours sometime.
Okay. I really will.
I'm going to second that.
Thank you, Ms. Lampier. Any comments or questions? Mr. Smith, do you want to talk to us a little bit about this snow thrower?
Sure. Well, the superintendent stole my thunder because I was going to come up here and say I have a great opportunity for you. You're going to spend $200,000, and it's not a single penny of the Board of Ed's money.
Yay.
And we're going to, yes. So we put these, as we get new machinery, vehicles, whatever that goes into the Capital Equipment Reserve Fund, which the city maintains. All the trucks, all the cars, all the vans, snow machines, whatever are purchased through that process. School participates, police, fire, public works, everybody goes through that. So we've had this in the queue for many years. We've had 2 of these machines. One of them is definitely on its last legs, and the timing is perfect for us. Hopefully when we receive it, we won't have to use it again until December or so, but they're actually on the lot and they're available, and I want to get them. They're made in Canada, so I want to grab it before the tariffs do something to that. So the recommendation is, it's a sidewalk snow machine, so it clears sidewalks. We do the 2 high schools with it. We do other schools. We actually do Broad Street all the way out to the Halls line and back. And we do Coliseum Avenue. We try to help out Public Works with that because it's a very versatile machine. So all for the cost of $195,005. I recommend you approve the purchase of the MT trackless, funding from the City of Nashua FY26 SURF Fund.
Excellent.
I'll make the motion.
No, I already made the motion,
Oh, sorry.
and Ms. Prin seconded it.
They just put it in the spreadsheet. It goes up.
No, it was me and you.
It was me and you. Look like we're fighting over the
I'm
same.
out of practice already.
I think what it is, we're just excited not to need to use any more snow days because kids can't walk to school safely. So here's to working more. Sorry, guys. All right, seeing no other comments or questions, all those in favor of approving the purchase of the MT trackless for the amount of no BOE money for $195,000 and $195,005. Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Sean.
What Sean forgot to tell you is,
Oh,
did
no.
you see in the memo? So originally, the budget was $416,000. I'll give you some credit. Yeah, there's definitely a deal there, so he's saving
We could get
some
2
money
and I
into
could just
her.
show up every time it snows.
You'll be that person that was on Instagram riding down Amherst Street on one. I think that was a City Works employee, not a
see me
school
doing that.
district employee.
I did ask if we could buy something else. They said no.
Well, I feel like snow plowing is my dream job is to be a golf course lawnmower. That's what I want to do in retirement. And I feel like snow blowing is like the closest next thing. I'll lawn mow too, Sean. Just offering up all of my services here. All right, sorry, go ahead.
I think that's, so the next item is a recommendation to approve shared services with the City of Nashua and the Nashua School District. Again, there's a memo in this packet that talks about the recommendation to initiate shared IT services with the City of Nashua. Phase 1 is the leadership consolidation. So we would, the first phase of the shared services model will include the consolidation of the director position. This reduction would eliminate the duplicative administrative overhead and represent an immediate cost savings while preserving the operational capacity necessary to support the district technology through the coordinated leadership structure with the city. Phase 2 is really a comprehensive assessment, working with the city to do an audit to evaluate staffing models, infrastructure, alignment, procurement practices, and service delivery. The goal of the assessment is to identify additional opportunities for efficiency, shared infrastructure, and long-term savings. This approach reflects our broader commitment to responsible stewardship of the taxpayer resources, intergovernmental collaboration, maintaining a strong cybersecurity and infrastructure readiness, and protecting our classroom-level instructional support. So, in speaking with the city, it's the recommendation of Attorney Bolton, just to make sure that the board has an approval. It will also go in front of the Board of Aldermen, just so that this is our vision. moving forward. We've been having this conversation, quite honestly, for several years informally. This is really formalizing the process, and we've talked about with Mr. Gray here, when Mr. Donovan retired, we talked about, was there a potential? The business office, quite honestly, with shared services is just way too complicated to really how that would work. IT is one department that we're focusing on. That I think there are some shared efficiencies. And then longer term plan, we would also look at the Department of HR as a potential next department down the lines. But again, I think as we notice in our budgets are getting tighter, and I think we need to start looking at different efficiencies and really what's the collaboration with the city so that we are not impacting the resources closest to our students. So this is one aspect on really investigating of what does a potential savings look like.
So you're looking for a recommendation?
Yeah.
Motion?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, so I'll make that. I'll make that motion to approve shared services between the City of Nashua and the Nashua School District.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Prin. Any comments or questions? Ms. Lampier?
I just think it's very reassuring that the city and the school district are in such close communication to work together for the betterment of the city. I think it's a great example of the good people we have in the city and in the school district. So thank you.
And if I can just add, this isn't an easy conversation. For the IT department, it's causing a lot of stress. What does it mean? So there's a lot of uncertainty. So we have fantastic people in our IT department. This isn't about job performance or anything like that, but it is about really what are some efficiencies moving forward. But again, I just want to reiterate, and I know there's a couple IT people who are here this evening. They're just stellar. They're class act people. So again, this is hard when we're looking at what are potential savings, but this is no reflection on their professionalism, their skill, their capacity, but really looking at efficiency. So I want to thank them, but I also recognize it's troublesome. It's the uncertainty of what does this mean for them. So I just want to give them a lot of public credit for the work that they do day in and day out. They are just a phenomenal department.
Thank you for that. Ms. Lopez?
I love that this is the first step to working with the city and allowing them to help us with the things that we've been asking for the help with. And I'm hoping that this is going to give us hope as we continue forward in our budget. I'm really disappointed, or I'm really sad about having to lose actual staff. I think everyone knows that working with the IT department and everything we're talking about in our budget and going back and forth, I think that that's the hardest part for me because I'm always person-centered, and there's all kind of people. As you said, they're spectacular staff working. So we're talking about actual people. So my heart goes out to that.
Thank you. All right, so motion on the table is to approve the shared services. If we have no further comments or questions, I'll go for a vote. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And the last item is informational, as Mr. Hoffman alluded to in his public comments earlier, is just in your packet, there's a graph of HB 1265, the mandatory report by school districts of school expenses. And Mr. Gray's here, if there's any questions or explanation needed for those infographics.
I think I'll just add, if you don't mind. So there is a memo in the packet. I tried to give as much information as possible without basically reciting the law that is sitting out there. So this is new this year. It technically went into effect July 1st. So it is 3 graphs plus a chart, as you've probably seen in the packet. The graphs do show not only the average costs per pupil, teacher salary, and administrator salary, but also an adjustment for inflation. My understanding, at least as of right now, this is something that will need to be done on an annual basis before a budget is adopted. And it is, in case folks saw it in the newspaper, it should be in the newspaper. It's on our website. It's posted, I believe, at City Hall as well as at district office.
Ms. Lanfear?
I was just wondering what the, it says you adjusted for inflation using the BLS calculator. I didn't know what that stood for.
Yep. So it's basically the CIP calculator. So what I had to do is go into the New Hampshire Department of Education website and look at what was truly reported for kind of what I'll call the 3 levers. So your cost per pupil, your administrator's salary, and then your average teacher's salary. You have to, when you adjust for inflation, you have to go ahead and basically put it on what I'll call an anchor point. Usually when this information is sent over to the Department of Ed, it's usually posted in November. So talking to legal counsel plus New Hampshire ASBO, it made sense to interpret this law as everything in November, and then you would adjust for inflation as of November of 2025. So there is a calculator, there's a website. I'd be happy to show it and share it if people are that interested. But we basically had to go through for the last 10 years, what was the average, adjust it for inflation. So for example, look at cost per pupil. School year 2015, 2016, the cost per pupil back then was $12,635. That was as of November of 2015. Then you say November of 2025, what is the inflation? So that inflation is 256,000. And that's basically what happened for all of the 10 years for the 3 charts. And then I guess just one thing to note, in case people are interested, is the top administrator salaries. The law is pretty specific. That says you have to post your top 4 administrators. As folks are probably aware, last year in fiscal year 25, we were down an assistant superintendent, and our high school principal does fit in that top 4 bucket of compensation, which is why the high school principal is listed.
Okay, excellent. It's easy to see, like, that the costs, like Mr. Hoffman said, they really haven't gone up for the pay package for the administrators. As far as inflation goes, it's pretty much going a little bit down, actually.
Yeah. I think it was a telling story, and I'll be honest that, through New Hampshire ASBO, we've tried to interpret this law, plus using the attorneys. I think you'll see some of the other school districts, I think Around Us did something similar, but some of the other school districts actually only posted 1 line on their graphs versus 2. I think it told the message a little bit better, posting 2. Based off of the attorney's suggestion, it was fine for us to utilize 2. But yeah, I think it's a pretty important message to say, inflation, as we know, the money that we earned, even 3 to 5 years ago doesn't pay for what it does today.
Yeah. I was looking at the cost per pupil over the last 10 years, and this is the average cost per pupil. So this includes special education and everything all combined. And it says $18,879 is the average cost per pupil.
Yes, that's correct. So when we do the state reporting, the New Hampshire DOE, every single year there is an average cost per pupil. at each level, and then, elementary, middle, and high school. But then there is an average based off of the district. So that is accurate based off of the average that was reported on the DOE 25.
How does Nashua's cost per pupil compare to the rest of the state?
Yep, good question. It depends on who you look at. Some of our surrounding districts were pretty similar. Some of the other districts were higher, and there's a couple in there that are definitely lower than us.
Okay. And how much does the state give us per pupil?
I knew you were going to ask that. So the cost per pupil from adequacy aid that they give us is roughly $4,300 per student. We do get a small adjustment, sorry, I would call it small, related to ELL. I think ELL is an additional like $849. For our special education students, there is an adjustment as well. And again, the adequacy aid calculator's out there if anybody's interested, or if you need the link, I'd be happy to share it too. So we get an adjustment for special ed, for ELL, and then there's a small adjustment in there as well for free and reduced lunch population.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Thank you for, oh, go ahead.
I did have one question. If we were to potentially switch for the high schools to the 5-block schedule, would teacher salary change? Any chance?
No.
No.
We had a pretty good discussion last meeting when the principals came. If you want to review it, we dove into that a little bit. If you want to review it and like connect with one of us, we can definitely.
But we're more than happy if, to meet with the building principals. If you have a group of friends, more than happy to sit down and have a focus group and talk it through. So anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Okay. All right. We don't have any liaison reports. JSSBC was canceled. So this brings us up to our second public comment. Ms. Prin, can you grab me the second public comment?
It's blank.
Blank?
Oh.
You don't know the rules. We're new. You don't know the rules.
So sign up for public comment. This is for items not on the agenda. When I call you up, just make sure you say your name, your address. You'll have 3 minutes to share. I will put a alarm on my phone. Most people can't hear it, so if I start going like this,
Wrap it up.
I'm trying to let you know that we're time's up. So I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to also respect the rules that I make everyone else follow. I thought my alarm was loud enough, but I think just sometimes people just like to keep talking. It's fine. What song could we play? Is there like song walk off?
Schoolhouse Rock.
Well, because Mr. Johnson always wears the Reading Rainbow shirt, maybe the Reading Rainbow song we can start playing. Isn't it nice?
I didn't wear that shirt tonight.
We should come up with our own.
Yeah, just take a look and grab the book.
I used to make some cheerleader remixes for dancing so I could break something out.
Thank you. All right, so up first, Jenna Smith. And I will put my alarm on.
Good evening. My name is Jenna Smith. I'm current PTO president at New Searles School and mother of 4 daughters who will be at New Searles. The last one just got registered today. I am also an alumnus of New Searles Elementary School. So just wanted to come and express my concern about the facility planning report that we saw and just talk about that. I don't think it tells the whole picture. I think it talks about some pieces of the building specifically, and I understand that there's taxpayers that are concerned about enrollment numbers not being where they are, but I think that there's a lot more to consider when you're talking about big impacts like this of closing schools and what the school community actually embodies. My thoughts are not put together today, so I'll be brief because I will be at every meeting talking about this until we figure out what we're going to do. But New Searles is just such an important part of our community. I'll come with more facts and figures next time. I do just want to also address one other thing about, I think there was one meeting a few weeks ago where we were talking about different PTOs and how some of us have been fortunate enough to get Nash money. You know, I think that we are one of those schools. We have these are my very active PTO, Rob, shout out to you as well. We would be more than happy to, or me, I don't want to speak for everyone, to help other PTOs register and become 501c3s and get money from the Nash and help fundraising best practices. We would love to see all elementary schools in New Searles thrive. Our PTO alone, with the help of the Nash, has raised $250,000 in 3 years. We've done our playground. We're renovating our library this year. I'm forgetting things. We just built all of our new smart boards for our whole entire school. That I know the district is doing a 5-year plan. We did that in a summer. So again, really would be happy to help my fellow PTOs with whatever we can. Yes. Lastly, just a minor comment. Ms. Lopez, I love your quote and that you mentioned, you know, for the community to continue to show up. I think that I'm probably delinquent in that. My oldest is a second grader. I should have been here a few years ago, but I'm here now. I would ask, and I don't know how these things are done, I'm just learning, for us to show up. I think it'd be really important and helpful if some of these agendas could be more legible. I consider myself a very well-educated individual, and I don't understand how to read the agenda and how you all are putting these things together. So maybe figuring out a way to more actively and easily identify to the community what we're actually talking about, what these bills are, what the agenda, how the agenda is structured, might make it less intimidating to come here and participate and listen. So thank you for your time, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Does that say Dan Wright?
Sorry. My penmanship is terrible. I apologize.
That's okay. Did I say it right?
You did.
It's right?
Yes, Mr. Wright. There you go. The jokes have been had.
Better than Mr.
The jokes have been had for many years. Before I start my 3 minutes, I had a question. Am I allowed to ask a question and get a response during this time, or is it more just a statement period?
We'll do our best. We typically don't answer questions, but
Understood.
I think we have a lot of new people in the audience, so there's probably some educational opportunities. So I'll suss it out. If it's more of a conversation that would be best had at district office, we can set up that meeting.
Sure.
If it's something we can answer quickly now and offer some opportunities for everybody to understand better, we can do that too.
Okay. Well, I briefly wrote this one. Good evening. My name is Daniel Wright, if it wasn't clearly written. I want to thank you for the time to speak, but I wanted to briefly talk about the Harriman report that was recently presented. Obviously, I'm here with New Searles as well. After reading the report, I wanted to know if the organization that made the report can actually bid on any future buildings or renovations specifically addressed in this report. The reason I ask is, if so, I question the conflict of interest that is presented, since they have a vested interest in making the condition and current state of our schools seem worse off than it may be. Example of this, in the report, it brings up the age of buildings as a reason of possible closures. They even mention a quote from the U.S. Department of Education stating that, and I quote, "After 60 years, most schools are abandoned." However, the age listed for the schools are based on when they were founded. This does not take into consideration the expansions and renovations done to these buildings. New Searles, for instance, is 57 years old. However, the school has had work done in 1994, 5, and 6 that saw new classroom wings added, ventilation system that had been installed, roofing and HVAC work that has been done. Beyond that, as a previous speaker had said earlier, it mentioned that there had been recent work done as of last year. I don't have that off the top of my head. And additionally, using the data provided by the report, the average age of our elementary schools, I know you don't like averages, are 68 years old. So by that logic, according to the report, most of the schools would have been abandoned by now. And even our city hall itself is 83 years old. My point is that this report uses the age of the buildings to convince us that the school is beyond repair. However, the age is misleading since the founding years of the school does not reflect the rate of decay on the critical systems and infrastructure of the school. Additionally, this report shies away from the aftermath of decisions that would see schools closed. If we were making cuts to the budget, that would suggest we do not have money to invest in a school. If we're not investing in a school, then we are looking to close schools. Following this logic, if we close schools, we will be left with three options. Demolish the building, which costs money, find a buyer for a vacant property, which is apparently too old to house our students, but is for some reason suitable for new buyers, or as the report suggests, we'd be abandoning the buildings since they are on average 68 years old. And if we decide to abandon these buildings, we run the risk of exacerbating our population decline, which we describe in the Harriman report. Essentially, we have a population decline. And when buildings are abandoned, they typically lower nearby property value, which does not attract new families. For example, with respect to a possible closure of New Searles, it is built on a landfill, which does not bode well for attracting new buyers for the building. Are we going to abandon the building, lower our property value, and become a less attractive home to new, younger families? I understand the need to consolidate buildings and to lower cost. However, I don't feel this report is free of bias, which has been questioning the narrative as it's trying to weave. I know decisions must be made, cuts and budgets are real, but I urge this board to heavily consider the intention of this report.
That was perfect.
Good job.
If you guys keep coming to meetings, you'll learn that I love timeliness. So my heart's like racing all over the company. That was amazing. Keep up the good work. But we also heard what you said as well. Okay. Danielle Pliska? And I forgot to say, please, I know you've written your addresses down, but for the record, if you could say your address too.
Oh, okay. I'm Danielle Pliska, 15 North London Drive in Nashua, New Hampshire. And I share a lot of the same concerns as Dan about the facilities study, but I'm going to focus more on some of the intrinsic qualities about New Searles that I think need to be part of the consideration of any decision of this magnitude. I speak to you as a lifelong Nashua resident, but also as a mother of 3 daughters who attend New Searles, and as a 5-year member of the New Searles PTO. I respectfully urge you to reconsider any option that would close the door of New Searles. Doing so would be a profound loss to our students, family, and broader community. In our years at New Searles, we've experienced firsthand what makes the school so special. It is more than a building. It is one of the most magical and tight-knit communities Nashua has to offer. Our teachers are deeply committed, passionate educators who love their students and their school. Families are engaged, supportive, and present. The sense of belonging and pride within our walls is tangible. Over the past several years, the New Searles PTO has funded through the hard-earned contributions of parents, grandparents, and grant opportunities, many substantial investments at the school, which Jen has already talked about, so I won't belabor them, but about $250,000 worth of investments. They represent not just financial contributions, but thousands of volunteer hours and deep community commitment. To close this school after these collective efforts would feel profoundly unfair to the families who have invested so much of themselves in strengthening it. Beyond capital improvements, our PTO provides meaningful community building events every year, including our holiday fair, spring fling, snowball dance, and other gatherings offered at low or no cost to families. Attendance to these events consistently demonstrates the strength and cohesion of our school, and our PTO even maintains the largest social media following of any Nashua PTO elementary, a reflection of the pride and engagement within our school. After reviewing the district's proposal, I'm particularly concerned with option B, which would close New Searles and redistribute students across 4 different schools. This approach reflects a focus on facilities, but not on the intangible and invaluable strength of community. Breaking up the cohesive neighborhood school and dispersing its students to 4 separate locations would be deeply disruptive. It would lengthen bus routes, fragment friendships, and weaken neighborhood connections that extend far beyond the school day. I'm also concerned with broader options that eliminate New Searles and other existing schools in favor of constructing a new consolidated elementary school. South Nashua has limited viable locations for a new build, and communities served by our schools are already thriving. We do not need a larger elementary school housing more students under one roof. What we need is to strengthen and amplify the communities built around the 12 elementary schools that are part of Nashua's history, even with the teachers who support and love the schools and the students they serve. I don't know how I'm doing on time, so I don't want to.
You're getting close.
Okay, so I'll call it there and be at the next one with more. But I just really want to highlight that there is so much more to consider beyond a facility study, and I really, really hope that the board will do that as you face more of your budget conversations. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Emma Delaney? Delanoy? You know, I was like, oh, her writing's big enough. I don't need to put my glasses on.
It could be my chicken scratch.
No, it's me.
All right, so tough acts to follow, and I appreciate all that's been said. And to add my piece, my name is. I am going to.
Sorry.
It's part of my speech. My name is Emma Delanoy, 14 Colony Way, and I'm an engaged parent of 2 children at New Searles Elementary School. I understand that budget challenges are complex, but I am deeply concerned that closing schools, including New Searles, is being presented as an option and solution before fundamental structural issues have been fully examined. I'm so glad that Dr. Andrade shared our district's vision and mission earlier in the meeting, and that's what I want to go back to as well. The district's vision says Nashua will be a model for excellence in public education. Its mission is to educate the whole child. Its values include integrity, trust, respect, empathy, and tenacity. I respectfully ask, how does closing neighborhood schools demonstrate empathy for families or build trust with teachers who are already overextended? How does this reflect educating the whole child when stability and relationships are essential to student success? I also want to address how decisions like this are being discussed. These meetings feel inaccessible to many families in our community. The language is often filled with jargon, and the structure feels rooted in tradition rather than inclusion. If we truly value empathy and respect, then engagement must be understandable, welcoming, and accessible to all, especially in a district as diverse as ours. Agendas and minutes aren't even offered in other languages. Before dismantling school communities, I urge the board to demonstrate tenacity in exploring deeper operational solutions and create processes that genuinely invite and include the voices of families and educators. Our children deserve solutions and a decision-making process that aligns with our district's mission and values. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of our second public comment period. Thank you all for coming. We'll see you next time. This brings us up to our board member comments. I'll start back over here with Ms. Gilio.
I find this budget season to be really depressing. And this is my 6th budget season. And I'm really feeling sad about that, but I am furious all the time with the fact that the state gets away with contributing barely $4,000 toward the education of our students, for which we pay over $18,000. I just don't understand how that's conscionable for anybody. And despite court rulings, they're still trying to get out of it. I mean, and it goes back at least 8 years to when they were first asked to pony up and give us the money that they needed to. And just last week, they're trying another way of getting around it. And as someone my age, because I probably won't run for the board again after 2 more years, I just find this really frustrating and sad. And I feel bad for all of our students and for our school district.
Ms. Prin?
I kind of want to echo your thoughts. I feel a lot the same way. Every year, the budget feels like it's getting harder and harder. I don't know what we can do except for encourage people to call the governor, call your reps, let them know. I mean, the Supreme Court in the state has said that they need to give us more money, and they're still not doing it. So if enough people put pressure on them, especially during election season, they might actually listen. They might listen, because that's what it is the crunch from us. It ends up falling on the backs of all the local taxpayers because the state's not giving us enough funding.
Mr. Johnson?
I was going to say, it's great to hear from PTO members, especially since I was a member of a PTO at a school called New Searles for 7 years before. And it contributed greatly for me running for Board of Education because of being involved in community and being involved in school and getting more inside looks at what's needed to keep a school going and to make a school successful. And I encourage those PTO members to keep, doing your best, to keep trying. And, if it sounds like we may have a spot open in 2 years, so if you're on a PTO right now and you want to make a difference, run for Board of Education.
It's fun. Ms. Lewis?
I want to echo off of that because obviously I just ran for the Board of Education, and I think that the background of being a parent, being in the community, talking to others, being involved in all the different extracurriculars, Boys and Girls Club, you really find your community and you really have a great understanding. So it's nice to bring that to also the data that we're being provided so we can try to make informed decisions. And thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lampier?
Thank you all so much for coming. It was great to see you. And I can't help thinking of when a couple years ago when we were talking about closing Mount Pleasant, and they came in and said the same things. Our community schools are, I think, one of the greatest things about Nashua, and I know none of us want to close any schools. But the reality is that inflation is going up, 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 up. The state isn't giving us any more money. So with our budget that we're doing next month, or this month, we have to send to the Board of Aldermen a request for a 6% increase that's going to fall on the taxpayers of the city. So if the noose continues to tighten around us, we won't have any choice but to close schools. This year, we're going to have to lay off over 50 teachers. We're letting go of administrators. You heard about the IT department. None of us want to do these things. But when I encourage everyone, when the Board of Aldermen hear our budget, they have to decide whether they're going to give us the 6% or if they're going to give us less. If they give us less, we'll have to make more cuts, more teachers. And, I would encourage you to go to the Board of Aldermen meetings, contact your alderman, and we don't hear from that many people. So if you hear from like 3 or 4 people, it's a big deal. You guys get to really make a difference. Thank you.
Ms. Lopez?
So tough to follow. This budget season is one of those things, as everyone, teachers, positions, people behind the positions, is hard to digest. I just want to say that as we bring on new members of the board, as we have those that know things and have been here for a long time, using that wisdom, along with not being scared to change some things, I think that we can see the future that we're looking for. So again, I just want to honor and respect Jesse Jackson tonight, and just say it again. Keep hope alive, keep hope alive, keep hope alive. On tomorrow night and beyond, keep hope alive. Hope to see everyone 3/9 at 6 p.m. for the community budget presentation. Show up. Everyone gets an opportunity to talk. It doesn't matter how long we're there. Everyone gets their 3 minutes. So it's your opportunity. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Well, I want to welcome everybody back after I hope was a great February vacation, right? Today was the first day back at school. I should know that. My kid went to school. I dropped him off. He showed up back home. There was food crumbs in the house. But welcome back. Hope you guys had a nice restful week. I know you guys didn't. You were all here. But when's April vacation? 7 weeks?
8 weeks.
8 weeks. All right, so start that countdown. All right, guys, thank you for coming out tonight. I appreciate it. If you want to email us, go ahead. And we look forward to seeing you next week for the public hearing.
Motion to adjourn?
Yep.
Second.
Oh, I got shut out.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, all those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
No. Yes.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We are out of our meeting at 8:41.